Hey, what's up, Twitter? So this one is targeting. There was a conversation where I said on Twitter where I said, "Don't target," and they're like, "Oh, I thought I should target like managers, agents, all that." And I was like, "Oh yeah, do target that, but don't target the material." Two different topics. So target, don't target. Let's unravel it. Let's fucking unpack it. So it makes me think of a client my ex had where she was like and targeting. So targeting reps. So you're trying to get on brand, right? Like that's what you're trying to say when you target them. You're trying to say, I'm on brand. I'm in your wheelhouse. However you want to say that. That's the type of writer I am. And people have asked me like, oh, is it am I going to be too close to their client? No, you know what I mean? Like the odds of you writing exactly the way this other client writes, probably not, you know? And which is why I would say, and yeah, my finger's fucked up. That's funny, right? My middle finger. Probably not. So I wouldn't even go there. Just be like, however you want to say it. Like I'm on brand. I'm in the wheelhouse or whatever. Like, and go with that. You don't want to come across as like, hey, I'm Aaron Sorkin light. Like they don't want that. Just I'm in that wheelhouse. Like I write like Aaron Sorkin or whatever you want to say. I'm kind of in there, and I can fill out your roster versus I'm going to be redundant. You don't want to be redundant. Anyway, so targeting makes me think of my ex's client. What happened with that? So everyone in Hollywood said it's too fucking dark. It's too dark, this, that, blah, blah, blah. I helped write this email, by the way, to the client. And eventually it was what was said to the client is, I knew that eventually I would get to tell the industry, this is a rep, right? Eventually I knew I would be able to tell the industry to go fuck themselves because this would work. And they were saying it's too fucking dark. No one wants to see it. But guess what? There's different camps, like producers and targeting, right? There's different camps. So this camp said, it's too dark. It's not going to work. And they go off and do this other shit over here. And it's the one person rule. You find this camp over here and they fucking love it. And they're like, let's make it now, and boom, it's a fucking hit. And at this point, you know what movie I'm talking about. At this point, it's going to be a classic, right? It's going to be a fucking classic movie, but a shit ton of people passed on it, and only these people were willing to do it. And so, on brand, right? Like, so if you're going to an agent or a manager like that, the agent or manager, good one, is going to think, this might be fucking difficult because this doesn't exist in the industry yet. Right? Like, this doesn't fucking exist. Like who? Like Tarantino. Shit like that. I'm blanking on his name. Edward Scissorhands. What's the director? I forget. But that didn't exist before that. So, a rep's going to read that and be like, this is going to be a struggle, right? But I believe in this, and I know this person is going to fucking land eventually. And there you go. And that leads into targeting. They were not targeting the market. They might have been targeting the reps. Like, who the fuck kind of seems like they would get this? Yeah, target that. But targeting the market? No, don't do it. It makes me think of, like, you create the target. Here's the other thing. Like, someone does this, creates the target. They write something way fucking out of, off grid. They write it, and then it gets, one person takes a fucking risk on it, and it gets made. It's a fucking hit, and then everybody, all the little rats, fucking Hollywood rats, come over and try to get the second version of that, and it's like, you're too late, you know. And then they're like telling all the writer, like all the managers, like, hey, to the writer, write something like that. The agents, you know, producers, they all want to fucking get on that. Dude, it's dead. They already did it. And then someone else takes a risk and writes something way the fuck over here, and then that's the fucking new thing. And then all the rats run over there, and then they want all their clients to write that shit, and then, you know, it's just it's a moving target you're probably never gonna hit. By the time you write it, someone else already moved it. By the time you write the thing that they want, someone else already moved it. So you gotta just stick with what the fuck you wanna do. I promise you. And this is a note that was given to me by arguably the biggest writer on the planet. I don't want to say his name because I don't want to, you know, he doesn't endorse me or whatever, but I look at him as a mentor and so forth. And, you know, he told me this. Never fucking do that. Write what you want and fuck them. And by the way, examples. And I'm rambling, who cares? Examples, I went to my agent when I first got signed. What did I get signed off? I got signed off a script that my ex told me, don't write it. It's not gonna work, blah, blah, blah. I wrote it fucking anyway. Guess what? I'm fucking signed to CAA, the biggest agency in the world, you know? And then I get signed there off a script that I had no outline for, right? 2 wrongs. Like, it's not gonna work and you have no outline, and I fucking wrote it and they're like, great, we love it. You know, like, I am creating the fucking target. That's my point. Create the fucking target. But secondly, then I get signed there, and then they're like, write this shit over here. Like, go into TV. Like, that's where they wanted me to go. So I focus on that. I go to them with 20 ideas. This idea, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Just to have you feel like what it feels like to write out like 20 fucking concepts, and all of it is no. And so I'm finally like, I got some shit in my mouth. I'm finally like, listen, fuck this. I've been at this for a year and a half or whatever it's been at this point. I'm just going to go write something. I have to write something. And so I write it. They read it. They're like, oh, I pitched it first and they said, oh, it won't work. And I'm like, yeah, well. So I just fucking wrote it. And then they read it and they're like, oh, this is different than I thought. Yeah, why? Because they're pitching their shitty way of doing it. They're not a writer. So fuck them. Write whatever the fuck you want. And they should go out and pitch it. All right, so two more examples. I know 2 brothers. I've met with them both, 2 producers. And one tells me, hey, bro, I'm met up, you know, on Sony a lot. He's like, dude, I'm a whore. I just want to get shit made. And he tells me this. You know, people will tell you shit that you're like, wow, you're telling me this shit? All right, crazy. But now I know. All right, so you're a whore, and his words, and he just wants to get shit made. And first guy who to ever like anything I've written. So I have a, you know, soft spot for him and so forth. But then I meet with his brother, brother-in-law. Now you're probably gonna figure out who the fuck I'm talking about. Tastemaker over here, several Oscars, right? You can figure out who that is. Respect to both of them. I dig them both. I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying they have 2 different ways of doing it. But he does it in the way that he does not care what anyone thinks in Hollywood. No one. And I respect that about him. And you know, the first time I met him, he had this idea for this movie, and it was small. You know, he has 3 Oscars, but this was small. This was like, what the fuck? Like, for a minute, I was like, can that work? I don't know. Maybe. And then his other idea was fucking crazy too, you know. I'll tell you what that was. It was about the war on drugs, and he wanted to do a movie about the hoax of the war on drugs, and it needed to be like super like tight and fucking politically motivated, all of that shit. Very difficult. So I knew I would have to go into fucking Mexico and get embedded in the fucking Mexican mafia. And I knew this might get my fucking head cut off. I might die to write this script, because I also pulled up Edward James almost. I did a movie with his son, by the way. That's funny. He was getting death threats off of a comedy. And so I knew if I'm doing this thing for real, I'm risking my life to write this. And I finally just said, fuck that, I'm gonna pull off it. But he's one of the main guys that I still reach out to. Plagiarism. We have a natural response to that, right? Like, if we see something, and this goes with targeting as well. Like, so someone does, I'll just say it. Someone does Gone Girl, right? And it's a fucking hit. It's dark. It's fucked up. Someone took a risk and they fucking did it. And then someone tries to do. Then they come back and they say, "Hey, give us the next one." And it's like, no, you already passed. It's been made. Like, that's done. And then they want to try to plagiarize it because they were a fucking, let's say the real word, they were a fucking pussy, or whatever you want to say. Scott Frank used that word, so cut me a break. To not fucking do it, now they want to plagiarize it. It's like, it's gone. You know, they're trying to target. Plagiarism is targeting. Stupid. So I guess that's it. You know, target agents, managers, producers, directors, actors, creatives. On that side, do not target what you're going to write. I don't think so. It's going to be more difficult up front, but the odds of you having a hit is much better that way. Later.